My maid, Yu is the so-called White Lotus blessed with heaven's luck. Most men are madly obsessed with her delicate looks, willing to do anything for her. In my previous life, during my coming-of-age ceremony, she secretly seduced my fiancé and stole away the spotlight that should have belonged to me. Blinded by jealousy and hate, I lost all reason, made a mess of things, and ended in tragedy, a bloody execution beneath the city gates. Reborn, I face her again as she uses up all my precious painting pigments at my ceremony, drawing praise from everyone. My response is cold and decisive. Someone, it's cold today. Burn this painting to warm everyone up. White Lotus, is it? How fitting, I enjoy ruthlessly breaking flowers. Miss. The deep blue pigment you prepared was all used up by Yu. I awoke from death's shadow to the hurried voice of my loyal maid, Zhu Sha, snapping my soul awake. I was changing clothes, preparing for my coming-of-age ceremony. A silk dress in fresh blue, and a landscape painting in rare deep blue pigment, both crafted by my own hand, these were meant to make me the brightest star of the capital ceremony. This pigment, my parents spent years searching for. Each tale costs hundreds of gold. All for this one day, when I would shine at the ceremony. In my last life, this was the start of my hatred toward Yu and my descent into wild revenge like some cruel, spoiled daughter. Yet all my struggles were in vain. My fiancé, Zhong Yan, and other infatuated fools would always step up to protect her. Zhong Yan pretended to marry me, then framed my family for treason. My father was executed by Ling Qi, my mother, and I beheaded at the city gates. The rest of our kin exiled, never to return. Right before the executioner's blade fell, Yu came to flaunt her victory, standing next to my former husband Zhong Yan. She spat at me and sneered. "Tch. What young lady are you now, crawling at my feet like a dog? You're not even fit to empty my chamber pot. Hurry and die, go join your family in hell." A flash of cold steel, Jiangli of the previous life died on the execution ground. My parents and my corpses hung at the city gate for 3 days, then were tossed in a mass grave. Perhaps even the king of hell didn't want a soul filled with so much resentment. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at my coming-of-age ceremony. This time, I calmly sorted through my memories. Back in the prison, I had dreamed over and over, what if? Drawing a deep breath, I whispered some instructions to Zhu Sha, then composed myself in front of the mirror before stepping out. The main hall of the Jiang household bustled with guests. My father is a senior official, one of the top 9 in the imperial court, so all the capital's notables came to my ceremony. Yu chose today, of all days, to steal my spotlight. She wanted to show off her talent to Zhong Yan, my fiancé, and win the admiration of the guests, maybe even find herself a better patron. Yu wore plain clothes and a simple hairpin, but with her delicate white lotus face, she drew every gaze. Her slender fingers danced over the paper, painting a perfect scene, beauty and talent, all in one. So beautiful. Look at those jade-like fingers. I've never seen anyone use such precious deep blue pigment before. She paints beautifully, so beautiful. Compliments rained down on Yu making me frown. Anyone who didn't know better would think today was her ceremony, not mine. Looking back, I was blind in my last life. Yu mother was my family's wet nurse, giving her some status in the house. From childhood, she grew up by my side, always wearing a gentle, virtuous mask. I never mistreated her. I never imagined the sisterly affection I offered would turn into her ambition to take my place. Or perhaps, Yu had always been a wolf in sheep's clothing. Years of fake innocence, all while she and the men around me pushed me closer to ruin. Since even the king of hell refused me, Jiangli will be a devil in this life, dragging Yu down with me. You're bold. How dare you steal Jiangli's pigment to paint? Led by the Jiang servants, I walked forward, each step deliberate. The sunlight caught my luxurious dress, gems, and gold gleaming. A soft silk robe, a giant jade pendant at my throat. I stood deliberately beside Yu letting every guest see who the true daughter of the house was. Elegance and plainness are two different things. I swept my gaze over the crowd, never sparing Yu Zhizhi a glance. My voice was calm. Yu Zhizhi, you are only a first-rank maid in the Jiang household, a servant who dared to steal your mistress's pigment. By the law, you should repay tenfold and receive 100 strokes. But since you and your mother have long served this house, I will lighten your punishment. You'll be demoted to third-rank labor maid, and for not greeting your mistress, you'll lose a month's wages. I pronounced her punishment without a hint of joy or anger. Even if some guests felt it harsh, my words were measured and by the law, not out of petty revenge. It was the same way any household would handle an unruly maid. Even if they pitied Yu Zhizhi, no guest could step up for a servant in someone else's home. At my words, Yu Zhizhi trembled, tears streaming like pear blossoms in the rain, her weak body on the verge of collapse. She bit her lip and knelt before me, as if suffering some great injustice, but never spoke a word of apology. I knew she was waiting for her so-called protector. Jiangli, what are you doing? A young man in blue stepped out from the crowd, face dark with anger. My fiancé, Zhong Yan. He hurried to help Yu Zhizhi up, then turned to scold me loudly. Jiangli, it's just some pigment, why be so harsh with Zhizhi? Our ancestors value art and culture. Zhizhi's painting only brings elegance to the gathering. Besides, you don't know a thing about painting, giving you such expensive pigment is a waste. If you keep up this stubborn, vicious attitude, you'll never be fit to marry into the Zhong family. Zhong Yan's words were harsh, bordering on insult. But my heart remained calm. I'd heard all this before in my previous life. Looking back, I really was blind to have ever believed Zhong Yan was a good man. I knew nothing about calligraphy, he said, stubborn and cruel. For an unmarried woman, these accusations were enough to destroy my reputation. In my previous life, I was utterly devoted to Zhong Yan. To keep my image in his eyes, I refused to punish Yu Zhizhi, letting the incident pass gently. I never imagined that, seeing my weakness, Yu Zhizhi would only grow more brazen. Facing the pair before me, I gave a cold, mocking smile. If Zhong Yan dared to begin, then I, Jiangli, would see it through to the end. I spoke, striking straight at the hidden wound in Zhong Yan's heart. So, the hero who saves the beauty is actually just the secondary son of the Zhong family, Zhong Yan, the third young master. Truly, there is a difference between the legitimate and the secondary sons. It must be that you, Zhong Yan, are used to being a servant at home. Is that why you've come to my house to defend a maid? Understandable. After all, your mother was also just a maid. Is this some kind of sympathy? The moment I finished, every gaze in the hall landed on me. People began to whisper, complicated expressions directed at Zhong Yan. A mere secondary son, born of a servant, yet he dares step into the Jiang household. Send word to the guards. Throw him out. He is never to set foot in the Jiang house again. Zhong Yan was stunned. In my previous life, Jiangli had always been obedient and respectful to him, treasuring him like a jewel. I would never have dared to utter such words. Before he could react, the guards seized him and threw him out. I picked up the landscape painting Yu Zhizhi had made with the stolen pigment. I didn't and oppose, bother to look at it. My tone was contemptuous as I ordered the servants. Someone, it's cold today. Take this painting and burn it. Let everyone warm themselves. The flames in the brazier leapt higher, making my eyes sting. I tossed the painting into the fire, the flames flaring up. The wooden box holding the precious pigment followed, burning to ashes. I wiped my hands with the kerchief offered by the maid at my side, then threw that in as well. Anything that woman has touched, I find filthy. Burn it all. And other thing, don't let her stand here and make a spectacle of herself. Take her away and dress her in a third-rank servant's clothes. The maids, who had been friendly with Yu Zhizhi, only shot her a glance, letting her go on her own. But Yu Zhizhi remained rooted, clearly determined to resist me to the end. So, some maids forced themselves to step forward and take her away. But Yu Zhizhi shook them off and marched straight up to challenge me. Jiangli, I only borrowed a little of your pigment. Why are you humiliating both me and Zhong Yan like this? If you're truly angry, take it from my wages. There's no need to bully people just because you can. Even as a maid, you may hit or scold me at will in the Jiang house, but I still have my pride. Tears welled in Yu Zizi's eyes, her delicate face flushed, a perfect portrait of a brave, unyielding woman from some old tale. Anyone who saw her would praise her as a proud, independent white lotus. Unfortunately, I most enjoy breaking flowers. I smiled and shook my head, mocking her naivete. So, any thief can simply claim they were just borrowing from the master. No matter how you try to argue, a thief is still a thief. Just as your status is lowly you remain. Since you don't know how to appreciate mercy, you may change clothes right here. I turned to the two maids beside Yu Zizi, my voice flat. Do it. I won't say it twice. They no longer hesitated and tore at Yu Zizi's dress. Instantly, the three of them struggled and tangled together. Stop. Stop. I frowned, following the sound. Inwardly, I scoffed, this white lotus always had her rescuers. It was my so-called elder brother, the adopted son of the Jiang family, Jiang Qingyuan. So, he liked Yu Zizi too. A strange feeling twisted in my chest. In a flash, I realized the tragedy of the Jiang family in my previous life might have involved a third hand. Zhong Yan may have married me, but as an in-law, he couldn't have built such a perfect case to ruin my father so thoroughly. Unless, there was someone on the inside. Maybe, someone in the Jiang family itself denounced my father to the emperor, someone close enough to be believed. In my last life, when our home was searched and seized, my father, mother, and I were all locked up in adjacent prison cells. Only Jiang Qingyuan was never detained. I once thought he'd simply fled in fear, and even felt relieved that he escaped. Looking back now, it's obvious he was the one who reported my father for righteousness and Oppo's sake. Why? Wasn't it simply to win the White Lotus's heart? How fitting, both of them white, one a white-eyed wolf, the other a white lotus. Today I'll see them both off. Jiang Qingyuan knocked aside the two maids, glared at the burning brazier, then kicked at me in anger. Embers flew, burning my hand painfully. I looked down, a deep burn was already bleeding. Jiang Li, you have no shame. A true gentleman should help others. Have you thrown away all the teachings you've read for years? He used his status as elder brother to command. Apologize to miss you. Today is your coming of age. If you admit your mistake, it shows you still understand reason. I stood unmoving, silent, ignoring his words. Jiang Qingyuan, irritated, barked again. Father is not home. As your brother, I speak for him. Jiang Li. Apologize. Blood kept welling from my wounded hand, but Jiang Qingyuan didn't spare it a glance. He was the one the Jiang household had raised as a young master for over 20 years, the one I'd called brother for more than a decade. And now, under the guise of brotherly authority, he wanted me, on my own coming-of-age day, in front of all the guests, to apologize to a maid, just to uphold some so-called justice for the woman he loved. Looking down at the bloodstains on the floor, like scattered plum blossoms, my heart turned to stone. With a sweep of my wide sleeve, I wiped the blood from my hand, my gaze icy cold. Who do you think you are? You're only the adopted son of the Jiang family. That I ever called you brother was already giving you more respect than you deserved. Don't think you're really the eldest son here. If it weren't for the Jiang family, who knows, you might be begging in some alley right now. Yet you dare put on airs in front of me. Since he'd chosen to betray the grace that raised him for Yu Zizi's sake, I would not hesitate to trample him underfoot. Jiang Qingyuan's face drained of color, my words leaving him speechless. He stood there, frowning, silently shielding Yu Zizi behind him. With her new protector, Yu Zizi regained her courage. She poked her head out from behind Jiang Qingyuan to argue. Jiang Li, Jiang Qingyuan's name is in the genealogy. With his name recorded, he is a true son of the Jiang family, a young master in his own right. Jiang Li, don't you understand the principle of brotherly harmony? Even though my status is lowly, I've read enough books to know that much. Her words seemed to awaken Jiang Chengyuan. A hint of pride appeared on his face. Jiang Li, whether you like it or not, my name is in the Jiang family registry. I am your elder brother. You must listen to me. The coming-of-age ceremony has exhausted the young lady. Take her back to her room to rest. One of Jiang Chengyuan's men stepped forward and grabbed my arm. Even with my maids trying to block him, I was dragged away, my hairpin slipping loose, leaving me in a pitiful state. In that moment, I was just as humiliated as Yu Zhizhi had been moments ago. Seeing my disgrace, Yu Zhizhi, hidden behind Jiang Chengyuan, could not hide her triumphant, mocking smile. My anger pounded at my temples, my strength draining with every struggle. Just as I was about to be dragged out, a commanding voice rang out from the entrance. Jiang Chengyuan, you're far too arrogant. Father's voice. It truly was father. Zhu Sha had not failed me, she'd managed to alert father before I entered the hall, just as I'd told her. Your daughter is being wronged, father, please come quickly. I was the only daughter of the Jiang household, cherished and spoiled since childhood. Years ago, worried there would be no one to protect me in their old age, my parents decided to adopt Jiang Chengyuan. Who could have guessed they would raise a white-eyed wolf, ungrateful and treacherous? And as for Zhong Yan, my father, in my past life, had tried everything to support him, afraid I would suffer marrying a secondary son. Yet once he climbed high enough, his first move was to destroy our entire family. Otherwise, how could someone of such low birth have caused such a storm? But compared to Zhong Yan's betrayal, Jiang Chengyuan's ingratitude as an adopted son stung me even more. Luckily, I had prepared, ordering Zhu Sha to seize any chance to summon father home. Otherwise, today I truly would have become the most disgraced young woman in the capital's coming-of-age ceremonies. The servant dragging me immediately released my arm at father's voice. Though father's hair was now streaked with gray, he strode straight toward me. A few lower-ranked officials saluted, but he ignored them. His anxious eyes swept over me. When he saw the blood streaming from my hand, his face changed. He landed a heavy slap on Jiang Chengyuan's face. Smack. The sound echoed, Jiang Chengyuan fell to the ground. But father's anger wasn't spent, he slapped him twice more, so hard that blood trickled from the corners of his mouth before he stopped. Drag him to the ancestral hall and have him kneel for 3 days. No food or water. Only then did Yu Zhizhi, frightened, drop to her knees, trembling, all her former arrogance gone. Yu Zhizhi was still a girl of the household, so father didn't act directly. He merely gave mother a look. Then he turned to exchange polite words with the guests, upholding the decorum of my ceremony, and the gathering slowly dispersed. Only Yu Zhizhi remained, kneeling and shaking. Mother, seeing the state of my wound, could no longer remain calm. Normally so dignified, she kicked Yu Zhizhi hard. Yu Zhizhi crashed into a table and fainted, the very table set up for her to display her painting and poetry before me. Retribution came swiftly. Disrupting the household and defying her betters, she was just the daughter of a maid, not even bound by contract. Throw her out of the Jiang household. She's not allowed to take anything with her. As for Yu's mother, who was bound by contract, mother showed mercy for her years of service, sentencing her to work in the storeroom, under strict supervision. As soon as mother arrived, Zhu Sha hurried forward to report. It's fortunate you came, madam. Otherwise, the young lady would have been wronged again. Yu Zhizhi has never respected her. In the past, anything good belonged to the young lady, she would act pitiful and demand a share. That shameless Zhong Yan always meddled too. And because the young lady is sentimental and cherishes old bonds, she spoiled Yu Zhizhi until she forgot her place. Last month, the agate pendant you brought from the western regions was also taken by Yu Zhizhi to wear. A maid acting like a young mistress, she's become absolutely lawless. Madam, you must persuade the young lady not to be so soft-hearted anymore. Mother nodded, glancing at the unconscious Yu Zhizhi. Zhu Sha is right. But judging by today's events, our young lady will not be soft-hearted again. Seize everything from her room for the household treasury. Send 2 more people to search until nothing is left, then throw her out. Anything from the Jiang house, whether thrown away or burned, Yu Zhizhi is not allowed to take even a scrap. Only when everything was settled did mother's mood calm. She turned to me, gently cradling my wounded hand, softly blowing on it. The warm breath tickled and I flinched. Looking up, I saw mother's eyes full of tears. Suddenly I remembered, the last time I saw her cry was the day father was executed. This coming-of-age ceremony had no rare blue pigment, but my parents' love was worth more than any color. Physician, please look at Li's injury. Mother called for the household physician, who had watched me grow up. He examined my hand carefully, but the pain was so sharp that I pulled away, sweating. Let go. I told you to let go. Only then did he release me. A quick glance showed a red mark circling my wrist. The strength he'd used was clear. Even after applying the medicine, the burn throbbed worse than before. Physician, why does it hurt even more now? I frowned at him, sweat rolling down my brow. Seeing this, mother grew anxious as well. That's right, physician, look, Li's sweating more and more. The physician's expression shifted, but he quickly forced a reassuring smile. Madam Jiang, Miss Jiang, you needn't worry. For burns like these, a burning sensation is normal. Keep applying the herbal paste daily and it will improve. It will hurt a bit more before it heals, just be patient for a few days. The pain only grew sharper, my lips had lost all color. Staring at the physician's ever-calm, faintly smiling face, a wave of dizziness washed over me. I lifted my hand, ordering the maid to see him out. After he left, I scraped the ointment from my hand. Instantly, the pain lessened. Mother rushed to steady me, her voice gentle, coaxing. Li, I know you're hurting terribly. But the physician said you must apply the ointment every day or it may leave a scar. Be good, endure it. I'll call the physician back to apply a fresh dose for you. I caught her hand, silently stopping her. After several deep breaths, some strength returned to my body and I finally spoke. If it's really as he says, applying this ointment daily, I might lose more than just my hand. Please, mother, quietly send for a new physician from outside the household. She paused, turning to look at me. What do you mean? Eyes closed, gathering my strength, I spoke clearly. If I'm not mistaken, this physician was originally recommended to our house by Nanny Yu. He has reasons to want me harmed. And the most important detail, before my death in the previous life, I saw a willow leaf sachet on Zhong Yan, the exact same pattern as the one the physician wore today. The materials are different, but the stitching is identical. No need to say whose handiwork that was. Madam, there's a trace of soul-dissolving herb in the ointment. Soul-dissolving herb. Mother leapt up from her seat, grabbing the physician's sleeve in panic. What will happen to our daughter? The ointment has been on for a while already, will it have an effect? Startled, the physician stammered. No need for alarm, madam. She's only used it once. The amount is very small, just wash off the remaining ointment and it will be fine. Soul-dissolving herb is a mild neurotoxin, once used in decoctions for pain relief, but never externally. Applied to the skin day after day, it causes paralysis, slackened features, even permanent disability. After sending the physician away, I carefully washed my wound in a basin. Mother handed me a clean towel and muttered. Those two women from the Yu family are truly venomous. Don't be afraid, Li. I'll speak to your father, have him punish that physician, and sell Nanny Yu as well. Don't be angry, mother. And don't act in haste. Keep him for now, I have a use for him. A man whose calling is to heal, willing to harm his patient just to please the one he loves, such a person is never truly kind. But if such a man were to discover he'd been betrayed by his beloved, what would he do then? This physician could become a razor-sharp blade. But if Yu Zhizhi is careless, she may cut herself instead. Just as I was lost in thought, Zhu Sha's voice sounded from outside. Miss, I have urgent news. I answered. Zhu Sha entered and bowed. Miss, I just returned from the market. There's a rumor spreading in the capital, word that the eldest miss of the Jiang family is arrogant, insulted her brother in public during the coming-of-age ceremony, abused her maid, and ruined the reputations of others. Where did such nonsense come from? I reached out, comforting mother, then told Zhu Sha to summon father. Rumors. Where else could they come from? Yu Zhizhi alone didn't have such power, and Zhong Yan, as a secondary son, was insignificant now. The only one left able to stir up trouble for Yu Zhizhi would be Jiang Chengyuan, who was released only a few days ago. Besides, Nanny Yu had been acting restlessly. Zhu Sha continued. She's been close with the eldest young master, making him leave the house more often. At the shops, she'd have his men guard the door, acting suspiciously. Ah. No doubt plotting revenge for her darling, my adopted brother. In public, lecturing me about Confucian virtues, behind the scenes, using the dirtiest tricks. Clearly, 3 days of kneeling in the ancestral hall wasn't enough to teach him a lesson. I ordered my father to send someone to interrogate Jiang Chengyuan's servant, making sure to pick someone from the Grand Court of Judicial Review. Father had always told me those men were ruthless, and I never thought we'd need their skills here. The next day, the jail assistant from the Grand Court brought me to the woodshed. Jiang Chengyuan's servant, Shi Ding, was sprawled on the ground, bloodied and battered. I gently lifted his chin with my handkerchief. So, a familiar face. Wasn't he one of those who had dragged me out on the day of my ceremony? All the other servants had already been sold off, save for him. Jiang Chengyuan had begged desperately for mercy, and after days of kneeling, gaunt and worn, my father had finally relented. Lord Li, has my father been informed? The jail assistant, Li, bowed repeatedly. Not yet, miss. Master Jiang is busy reviewing a case and hasn't been told. No matter how many years he'd lived as family, my parents had no memory of a past life. But the Jiang household could never allow Jiang Chengyuan to remain. Still, they needed to see the truth with their own eyes before making a final decision. Lord Li, when heaven means to destroy someone, it first drives them mad with arrogance. My parents are soft-hearted, a mere confession may not be enough. We need to catch them in the act. When it's done, I will speak for you, Lord Chief Warden. Li beamed, bowing again and again. Thank you, Miss Jiang. 3 days later, in the middle of the night, the barking of stray dogs erupted by the gate. Footsteps and voices grew loud outside. Jiang Chengyuan and Nanny Yu had been caught. With Zhu Sha draping a fox fur cloak over my shoulders, I strode outside. The scene was chaos. Nanny Yu had been badly beaten, her face bruised and swollen, clothes soiled, something stuffed in her mouth so she could only groan. Jiang Chengyuan was not much better, clutching a torch. So he thought I'd be cold, and wanted to set my courtyard on fire to keep me warm. Father called my name softly when he saw me approach, as if his mind was already made up. Li, this. I snatched the torch from Jiang Chengyuan's hand and hurled it at a pile of firewood. It must have been soaked in wine and oil, because flames leapt sky-high. Thankfully, the ground had already been soaked with water. The fire raged in one spot, but went no further. Father, you are the Chief Justice of the Court of Judicial Review. You must not let yourself show the softness of a woman. After all, Jiang Chengyuan was less than loyal, unfit even to be called a dog. Kneel. The servants dragged the mud-stained Jiang Chengyuan into the ancestral hall, already crowded with the most respected members of the family. Father, now Chief Justice, sat in the highest seat. Along both sides sat the Jiang clan elders. The adopted son, Jiang Chengyuan, has brought harm upon his siblings, harbored malice, repaid kindness with betrayal. This goes against all morals and ethics. He is unworthy of the Jiang family name. Remove him from the family registry. Father, please, don't abandon me. It was Nanny Yu who told me to do this, I was just confused for a moment. Please believe me, Father. I know I was wrong, truly. There won't be a next time. He clung to Father's leg, weeping. Father merely glanced at the servants, who pried him away. Right or wrong, you know it yourself. You no longer have the right to call me Father. Jiang Li is my only. You, as the adopted son, received the Jiang family's care. yet you colluded with outsiders to commit arson and murder. Betraying those who raised you, such wolfish ambition. The Jiang household, the entire clan, cannot shelter someone like you. With that, father waved for the servants to throw him out. Seeing father's resolve, Jiang Chengyuan stopped pretending altogether, his resentment erupted, and he pointed at the Jiang residence's plaque, cursing. Old fool. You can't even tell right from wrong. I don't care to stay here any longer. You think I'll die without your patronage? I'm full of talent, I'll find a place for myself. This so-called young master, who wants it anyway? As if I couldn't survive without you all. He kept muttering curses even as the servants drove him out with sticks. The once gentle, flawless eldest young master was nothing but a mask. Now the mask was gone, and the rot beneath was plain for all to see. A dog is always a dog, treat it too well, and it thinks itself the master. Let's see who would still recognize him as the Jiang family's heir, now that he's been cast out. As his curses faded at the gate, I quietly ordered the servant by my side. Spread the word, let all of the capital know that Jiang Chengyuan has been struck from the family registry, expelled from the Jiang household. Say he and Yu Zhizhi were secretly involved, and she's pregnant, disgracing the family. Make sure every tea house, tavern, and storyteller's booth knows the tale. Half-truths, half-lies, it doesn't matter if people believe it or not. What matters is that no single rumor can dominate. All I need to do is muddy the water, so I'm not the only one stained. I also had someone arrange for the secretary to draft a formal accusation. Yu Zhizhi stole the rare blue pigment of the Jiang household, and must pay 10 times its value, or be flogged 100 times. There were plenty of witnesses at my coming-of-age ceremony. Anyone could be called upon to testify, giving father leverage with the magistrate. As for Nanny Yu, hadn't she just been stuffing herself in the woodshed lately? Toss her into the pond for a swim, clean her up, and then send her to the madam at Dihong brothel. Tell the madam I'm selling her a bit of face. How could a pure, delicate white lotus bear to have her own mother in a brothel? How could she still climb high, even if she wanted to marry into the Zhong household as a concubine? Of course, Yu Zhizhi could redeem her mother. But what about the tenfold compensation for the pigment? Even if she borrowed from every possible source, Jiang Chengyuan, Zhong Yan, the physician, it wouldn't be enough for both. I gazed at the sky, lost in thought, remembering the gloomy day I was dragged to the execution grounds. Yu Zhizhi will never find enough money. When the time comes, I'll claim her indenture myself. I picked up the cup of tea, sipped, and listened to my servant's latest reports. Jiang Chengyuan, after years as a pampered young lord, had long forgotten how to endure hardship. At first, he survived on credit, but news soon spread of his expulsion and erasure from the family. No merchant would extend him credit anymore. Former friends, once full of praise for his looks and talent, now shunned him. Left with nothing, he tried selling calligraphy at street corners, but who would buy, now that his reputation was ruined? Survival itself was a struggle. As for Yu Zhizhi, she was running herself ragged trying to find money for the pigment. Jiang Chengyuan couldn't help, he barely fed himself. Zhong Yan was only a fifth-rank official's secondary son, he had nothing. In the end, the only one willing to lend Yu Zhizhi money was the physician, and it was all he'd saved his entire life. But he wasn't kind or selfless, Yu Zhizhi must have promised him a great deal in return. I looked at Yu Zhizhi's indenture agreement on my desk, unable to help but smile. What a pity, just as I was about to have her, she'd end up in the brothel. The paper wasn't truly an indenture, but a labor contract. Yu Zhizhi borrowed money to redeem her mother. Cleverly, the contract was oversized, its top portion cut off, leaving just enough blank space to write a proper indenture. It was this very trick that Zhong Yan once used to ruin my family, now turned back on the woman he loved. How ironic. I had someone inform Zhong Yan of Yu Zhizhi's fate at the brothel. Once the two of them had finished their heartfelt farewells, I'd summon the physician, let him see for himself the face of the woman for whom he'd spent his life's savings. I gave strict instructions to the madam of the brothel. Yu Zhizhi was a beauty, after all, the very woman whose painting had stunned half the guests at my coming-of-age ceremony. Many high-ranking officials in the capital had heard her name. If she were allowed to escape, the brothel would lose a fortune. While I was giving orders, Zhu Sha approached quietly to report that Zhong Yan had stood at the gate for 2 hours, waiting for me, and asked if he should be sent away. I shook my head and stood. Now, I was truly curious to hear what he still had to say, and I wanted to deliver him some good news in person. The moment Zhong Yan saw me at the gate, he wagged his tail like a dog smelling a bone. Li, last time was my fault. Don't be angry anymore. When we're married, we'll have a good life. Didn't you always beg me to paint you something? Look, I finished it for you. Isn't it beautiful? I looked him over, head to toe. In the bitter winter, he wore only thin clothes, shivering, his fingertips red with cold, desperate to see me. It seemed life at the Zhong household was not treating him well. In the past, I'd always provided for him, clothing, firewood, money, whatever he needed, I gave it, even as he treated me like ice. Still, I stubbornly clung to my feelings. Now, with me gone, he finally knew what it was like to freeze in the capital's winter. I laughed, it was only fair. But seeing me smile, Zhong Yan immediately thought I was still attached, or playing hard to get. He started demanding, showing off. Since you're not angry anymore, send over my winter supplies as usual. When I'm in the mood next year, I'll have your father come talk about our marriage. Oh, and I'm short on cash, give me 10,000 taels up front. I nodded, pulled a single coin from my purse, and flicked it at his feet, gesturing with my chin. Pick it up. Silly dog. The insult was clear. Zhong Yan trembled with rage, jabbing a finger at me. How dare you treat me like this? Even if you beg me to marry you in the future, I won't spare you a glance. I had no patience for his delusions. I blocked the maid with the wash basin behind me, took the water, and dumped it over his head. His hair, now sopping wet, clung to his face, the cold wind cutting to the bone. That's enough. Don't bark at my gate any longer. Your beloved Gigi has already been sold to the brothel. Better run along and play the hero. Zhong Yan, drenched and miserable, looked like a kicked cur. He wanted to say more, but at last, left in a hurry. Watching his retreating figure, I ordered my attendant. Go. Notify the physician. Zhu Sha was beside herself with laughter as she described what happened next. Miss, you should have seen it. Yu Zhizhi clung to Zhong Yan, weeping, swearing her love and begging him to redeem her. Out of nowhere, the physician barged in, threw a punch at Zhong Yan, shouting about stealing his woman and digging at his wall. The two started brawling right there. Yu Zhizhi tried to stop them, but the physician slapped her hard, calling her a faithless harlot who'd squandered his entire life's savings. He cursed her fiercely. In the end, they were all a mess. Yu Zhizhi's hair was half torn out, Zhong Yan had black eyes, the physician limped away. It didn't end until the brothel staff called the constable. A true farce, dog eat dog. Yu Zhizhi spread herself thin, never knowing which boat she'd be left standing on. Once it capsized, she had only herself to blame. None of the men she tangled with were worth anything, none could be trusted. Now, Yu Zhizhi had become a courtesan, selling her smile at the very doorstep she'd once scorned. She'd fought me for the spotlight on my coming-of-age day, and now her name was known by every lecher in the city. The brothel madam, no doubt, was only too happy to profit off her misery. The once pure white lotus was now so filthy, picking her up would soil one's own hands. Zhu Sha, have the physician come tomorrow. Tell him I need my wound tended. I had sharpened my knife for so long, now it was time to use it on Yu Zhizhi. When the physician arrived, I did not let him approach, keeping him behind a curtain as I spoke, voice careless. Physician, when will my hand finally heal? I twisted a wooden puppet in my hand, the joints creaking. Without waiting for his answer, I muttered. If only it would just rot away. I liked this puppet, but now it's filthy, won't even obey. Useless. My voice was angry as I hurled the puppet to the floor, smashing it to pieces. What's the point? All the money I spent on it, what a waste. Still not satisfied, I stepped off my chair and stomped the puppet twice, only then turning to question the physician again. Physician. Physician. He was staring at the broken puppet, stunned, and only snapped out of it after I called several times. He answered absent-mindedly, then excused himself and left in a hurry. I knew perfectly well, he had caught my meaning. A week later, I was dining at a tea house across from the brothel when I saw Yu leaning against the balcony. The once bright, delicate face was now painted with cheap powder, her eyes dull, her body thin to the point of deformation. Her beauty was gone, she looked coarse, vulgar, cheap, a far cry from the refined girl who'd painted on my coming-of-age day. The madam called her name. Shanji, come serve the guest. Shanji, a name like gardenia, perfectly suited to Yu. She tried to protest, face twisted in reluctance, but the madam slapped her hard, leaving a red handprint on her pale cheek. The madam shouted. Filthy wretch. The guests are here, smile for them. Don't bring bad luck to my house. Yu forced a crooked smile. The madam nodded and left, and to my surprise, the guest who entered was the physician. No affection, no tenderness, his face was vicious as he grabbed Yu by the jaw, forced her to swallow medicine, and smeared something on her arm. Watching Yu grow paler, I doubted that was anything good. After dosing her, he dragged her off by force. Stupid whore. Cheated me of my love and my money. I looked away, considering what the physician had just given her, and instructed Zhu Sha. 3 days from now, file a report to the magistrate, accuse the physician of poisoning. I'd rather not let him kill Yu himself, that would be far too easy for her. With father's influence, the magistrate handled the case swiftly. Investigations uncovered many of the physician's crimes. He was quickly arrested, interrogated, imprisoned, and beheaded. The entire process moved faster than I could have imagined. At the time the physician was executed, it so happened that Lord Zhong also passed away that same week. Without my favor, Zhong Yan's only pillar of support was gone. As a secondary son, born of a serving maid who'd only become a concubine after conceiving while the main wife was gravely ill, Zhong Yan was never truly valued. He had no connections through his mother's family either. The other 2 young masters, trueborn sons of the main wife, had hated him all their lives. When Lord Zhong died, they quickly divided the estate, leaving Zhong Yan with almost nothing. Soon after, he and his mother were expelled from the Zhong family altogether. When they passed the Jiang residence, Zhong Yan still harbored hopes that I might shelter him and his mother. Instead, Zhu Sha loosed a few stray dogs to chase them halfway down the street. It said Zhong Yan even lost his shoe, and in the bitter winter was forced to stagger away barefoot. That year, the snow was especially heavy. I set up a free porridge and tea stall right in front of the Jiang residence. Anyone could stop for a hot drink, and at mealtimes, a bowl of porridge. All I felt was gratitude to the heavens for giving me another chance at life. Word had it that the court would soon hold examinations to select women officials. I hoped I might pass. Compared to relying on the vague, fleeting love of men, placing my trust in myself was far more secure. This life, I would live well. One day, as I was serving porridge, I met an old acquaintance, Jiang Chengyuan. Had he not spoken first, I truly wouldn't have recognized him. His hair was matted, a filthy tangle atop his head. His clothes were rags with barely any cotton left, his body wrapped in rope for warmth, reeking so badly it nearly made me retch. He shoved his way to the front, greeting me. When he opened his mouth, yellowed teeth bared, he squinted through the grime. Li, it's me, your brother, Jiang Chengyuan. Let me come back to the Jiang household, please. I beg you, I know I was wrong. I'm sorry, Li. I'm truly sorry. He looked as if he might cry. I couldn't be bothered. I tossed my ladle to a servant and issued a cold order. This one once stood at our gate and boasted, "You think I can't survive without the Jiang family? From now on, when you serve porridge, never give him so much as half a spoonful. Drive him away, don't let him linger near our gate." He seemed to want to plead further, but surrounded by armed servants, he could only slink away. I watched his figure vanish into the white curtain of snow. At the end of the alley, he staggered and fell, never getting up again. While running the tea and porridge stall, I often overheard local gossip. The constables, resting here for a cup of tea, would chat. Did you hear? Third young master Zhong is dead. What young master? He was nothing after he died. He and his lowly mother tried to beg their way back into the Zhong household, but the elder sons wouldn't allow it. At first, they just chased them off. When that didn't work, they beat them until both collapsed at the door. By the next day, both were stiff and cold. No funeral. What funeral? Hauled out to the pauper's graveyard, dumped there. Who needs ceremony? As winter faded and the weather softened, dock workers also crowded into my shelter to escape the snow. When I'm done, I'm heading to Dihong brothel. They say there's a new girl, Shanji, who's not bad looking. Who told you that? That news is old. Shanji was pretty once, but not anymore. She spent years upstairs, her looks are gone, her body's thin, her mouth twisted, one eye drooping, like a fool. Nothing special. I just want to see, how often do you find a mother and daughter both working in the same brothel? That's something. She's dead. Huh. She died, just last month. The madam saw her looks fading and planned to send her downstairs to serve laborers, just like her mother. She wouldn't have it, tried to run away with her mother. Her body was weak, and when the madam found them, she beat her to death. What a pity. Come on, stop loafing around. Let's get back to the docks, the sky's clear, spring's almost here. My hand paused on Zhu Sha's arm as I was about to step into the carriage. I lifted my head and looked up at the sky. Yes, the clouds had parted. All the love, hatred, pain, and regret of my past life were buried in that endless fall of white snow. Once the snow melted, nothing would remain. Zhu Sha urged me not to miss the hour. I nodded. Today is the spring equinox. I am to enter the palace and receive my appointment. I have been granted the rank of fourth-class woman tutor, responsible for instructing the princesses and noble ladies in the art of painting. The end.